Kethvar had lived for 17 centuries, which was considered young among the Zephirian species. His crystalline exoskeleton bore the deep blue hues of a scholar warrior, though the patterns had grown dim with age and contemplation. He spent his days in the archive towers of Zepha Prime, cataloguing the rise and fall of younger civilizations with the methodical patience his people were known for. He had almost forgotten about the humans. It had been 312 years since that chaotic day when a battered human exploration vessel had limped into Zephirian space, its hull breached and life support failing. The crew of 37 had been on the verge of death when Kethvar's research station detected their distress beacon. Against the explicit protocols of the Zephirian conclave, he had authorized emergency aid. The humans had been impossibly grateful. Their captain, a fierce-eyed woman named Elena Martinez, had sworn a blood debt that her species would honor. Kethvar had dismissed it as the desperate promise of a primitive species facing extinction. Humans were barely out of their system of origin. After all, what could they possibly offer a civilization that had mastered interstellar travel when their sun was still forming? The reminder came on a Tuesday. Kethvar was deep in analysis of the Trilaxian Empire's economic collapse when his communication array activated with an incoming message on a frequency that hadn't been used in centuries. The quantum signature was unmistakably human, but impossibly sophisticated, far beyond what their technology should have been capable of. This is Admiral Sarah Martinez Chen of the Terran Federation Navy, attempting to contact scholar warrior Kethvar of Zepha Prime. Please respond on this channel. The name Martinez sent a shock through Kethvar's neural matrix. He activated the full communications suite, and a holographic projection materialized before him. The woman bore an obvious resemblance to the desperate captain he'd saved centuries ago, but her uniform was unlike anything he'd seen in human space, elegant, functional, bearing insignia that suggested a military hierarchy of staggering complexity. "I am Kethvar," he responded, his translator converting his harmonic speech patterns into human standard. "You share a name with someone I knew long ago." The Admiral smiled, and for a moment she looked exactly like her ancestor. Captain Elena Martinez was my great-great-grandmother. She left very specific instructions in her will about a debt that humanity owed to a Zephirian scholar. "I'm here to discuss repayment." Kethvar's crystalline features shifted in what humans might recognize as bewilderment. "Admiral, that was 3 centuries ago. Your species has surely forgotten." "Scholar warrior Kethvar," she interrupted gently, "humanity never forgets its debts. Especially not to those who saved us when we had nothing to offer in return." The conversation that followed challenged everything Kethvar thought he knew about human nature. Admiral Martinez Chen explained that Elena's rescue had become legendary within human space, not just as a tale of alien compassion, but as a foundational story about the importance of honoring one's obligations. The Martinez family had maintained detailed records of Kethvar's aid, and the Terran Federation had officially classified the debt as a species-wide obligation. "We've been monitoring Zephirian space for decades," the Admiral explained, "waiting for an opportunity to repay what we owe. Our intelligence suggests your people are facing a crisis." Kethvar's exoskeleton darkened with surprise. The Zephirian conclave was indeed struggling with a problem that threatened their very existence, but it was a closely guarded secret. Their sun, ancient beyond measure, was entering the final stages of stellar collapse. Within 2 centuries, Zepha Prime would be uninhabitable. The conclave's attempts to find a suitable new homeworld had failed. Every system they could reach lacked the specific quantum resonance frequencies that Zephirian physiology required. "How could you possibly know about our star's condition?" Kethvar asked. "Because we've spent 300 years becoming the kind of species that could help you the way you helped us," Martinez Chen replied. "Humanity has developed technologies specifically designed to repay old debts." We've become very good at solving impossible problems. What happened next redefined Kethvar's understanding of human capability. Within days, a fleet of human vessels arrived in Zephyrine space, not warships, but massive engineering platforms that dwarfed anything in the Conclave's navy. The lead ship alone was the size of a small moon, its hull bristling with technology that seemed to bend the laws of physics. The human solution was characteristically audacious. Rather than relocate the Zephyrine population, they proposed to stabilize the dying star itself using controlled quantum manipulation. It was a feat of engineering that would require the combined efforts of both civilizations and resources on a scale that staggered even the Conclave's eldest minds. "This will cost your species tremendous resources," Kethvar observed as he reviewed the proposed stellar engineering project, "far more than the value of one rescued ship." Admiral Martinez Chen shook her head. "You're thinking about this wrong, scholar warrior. When Captain Elena Martinez was dying in space, you didn't calculate the cost-benefit ratio. You saw people who needed help, and you helped them. That action saved 37 lives. But more importantly, it taught humanity something about the kind of species we wanted to become." The project took 23 years to complete. Human engineers worked alongside Zephyrine quantum specialists to construct a massive stellar stabilization matrix. The technology was unlike anything either species had developed independently, a fusion of human ingenuity and Zephyrine precision that created something entirely new. When the dying star's collapse was finally halted and its energy output stabilized for another 100,000 years, the celebration echoed across both systems. But for Kethvar, the true revelation wasn't the technological achievement, it was the discovery that humanity had spent 3 centuries becoming worthy of the trust he'd shown them. The project's completion marked the beginning of an unprecedented alliance. The stellar stabilization technology led to advances in physics that revolutionized both civilizations. Trade agreements followed, then cultural exchanges, then joint exploration missions that pushed the boundaries of known space. Other species throughout the galaxy watched the human-Zephyrine partnership with fascination and concern. Here was proof that humanity, the young, chaotic species that most civilizations dismissed as too unpredictable for serious partnership, was capable of remembering debts across centuries and repaying them 1,000-fold. Kethvar lived to see the first joint human Zephyrine colony ships depart for distant galaxies, carrying representatives of both species to worlds that neither could have reached alone. In his final years, he often reflected on the moment when he decided to help a dying human ship against all protocols and logic. He'd saved 37 lives on impulse. In return, humanity had saved his entire civilization with deliberate, methodical dedication spanning 3 centuries. Some species conquered, others traded, others still chose isolation. But humanity? Humanity remembered, and when they repaid their debts, they did so with interest that compounded across generations. The galaxy would never be the same.